directories. Files and directories in Java. We are done with files, normal files, random access files. Now we will go on to directories. How do you work with directories in Java? How do you work with directories in Java? We'll directly do a program. Create a directory in Java. Create a directory in, give a location, give any location of your choice. Now, before you create directories in Java, I'll just quickly revise something in your command prompt. Okay, you know what is CD? What is CD? CD means change directory. Okay, CD dot dot means you go out of your current directory. Now, to make directory, which is the command? Amarnath, tell me, which is the command to make a directory on your console?
mkdir.
Yeah. Perfect. You have a command called mkdir. Like, you know, I create something like, let's say, an mkdir, and I change my directory. It means, you know, I have created a directory. So mkdir is a common command which all of you know. Okay, I'll go back. I will come back to my program. Java makes use of the mkdir to create a directory. Let's see how it happens. So I'll use file. I'll open up a connection to my file. Okay, I'm creating a new directory. Let's see. I need to create a directory in my C colon. Okay, C colon. Let's say test. I already have test over there. We created that yesterday. Okay. I am planning to create in my C colon a directory called Rajagiri. I'll open up my C colon for you. I didn't have test because, you know, you remember no, I had created test one yesterday anyway. I don't have a directory over here called Rajagiri. Okay, I don't have a directory over here called Rajagiri. What I'm planning to do is I want in my C colon a directory called Rajagiri. Okay, so you have the command called mkdir, which you use in your command prompt. The same is even a method in Java. Mkdir is a method in Java. You can call it together with your file object. New directory. I just gave new dir dot mkdir. It will make a directory. It will make a directory. Now, the interesting thing about mkdir method is it will be returning a Boolean value. It will be returning a Boolean value. Okay, so like, you know, I'll just make it return something. Boolean S. Okay, now if my directory creation is successful, S will be true. If my directory creation is, you know, not successful, it will be false. Okay, so I'll just give something like, you know, if S else something. Yeah, I'll just put in some SOPs so that, you know, people are able to understand things. SOP. I'll put an SOP over here. SOP directory. Yeah. Okay, I'll give the same thing over here. Okay, if S is false, what does it mean? It means that, you know, I've got no directory. Okay, directory now and directory. Yeah, I'll just check my brackets before I save things. Okay, I'll save my program. directory create, file, save as, dir create dot java. Okay, let's save my program. I'll try running my program. Java dir create dot java. Okay, I had an IO exception. Okay, IO exception is not needed. I'm not doing any IO. A normal exception is enough. Yeah. Java C directory create. I'll run my program. Yeah. I've created my directory. I'll take up my C colon. Okay. Can you see? Can you see that's Rajagiri? Yeah. I've created a directory called Rajagiri. Is that fine? Okay. I'm telling create a new directory, Rajagiri123. I'll run my program. Now, initially, S will be true. S will be true, which means, I will be able to create a directory, yeah. I'll open up my C colon. Yeah, I have got Rajagiri 1, 2, 3. I'll try running my program again. Now, next time, when I run my program, it goes false because, I'm not able to create a directory. So they're telling me directory now. Okay. I've made now nested directories. Okay, Rajagiri 1, Rajagiri 2, and then Rajagiri 3. Have a question? List the contents of a directory. List the contents of a directory. Okay, list the contents of a directory. Okay, now which means very simple. I'll take my C colon. I'm planning to list out everything in my directory, in my C directory, which means, be it a file, be it a directory or whatever. Now look here. I'll take up my C colon. Okay, my C colon doesn't look very good. I've got only folders. Just a minute, let me check my D colon. Yeah, okay, look here. My D colon. I've got, it's a combination. I've got folders, I've got files, I'll even got some exes. Okay, so we'll go for the D colon. Where you have all the combinations. Okay. So I'm going to list out everything in my D colon. Okay. Now, you have a method called list. Okay. You might be fed up with new directory. No, all the subdirectories, subfiles, everything you're planning to list. Okay, so I'll have an object called new directory. Even I got bored with that name. I just created subfiles, everything. Okay, now what I'm planning to do is I am going to list out everything. Now, your list, as usual, just as you did in your words and everything, it will be an array. So, I'm storing it in an array called A. I am storing it in an array called A, from the beginning to the end. So I'll use a loop for I is equal to 0, I less than A dot length, I plus plus. Okay, from the beginning till the end, I am going to display. So I'll just simply give an SOP. I'll simply give an SOP, Control C, Control V. What do I plan to list? I plan to list my array element A of I. A of I, that's it. Everything will get listed. Everything will get listed. Okay, so let's save my program. Directory list, file, save as directory list .java. I'll run my program. My command prompt looks very dirty. Java C dir list .java. Oh, there are a few errors. Oh, I didn't declare my I. Just a minute. I didn't declare my I. Int I. Save. Come back. Java C directory list. Okay. Java directory list. Okay. Catch. Try. Catch. I've got an exception. Just a minute. Let me correct my exception. Okay. So I'm getting the output. I'll show you the output. Java directory list, I'm getting all those things which you saw, all my folders, all my files. I had a document file, I had an exe file putty, I even had a Java setup file. All these are displayed. I'll go back to my program. Okay, I had forgotten a colon over here when I typed. That was the error. They couldn't go to this particular directory. Okay, so this is how you list out things. Now, have a question. List out the contents of the directory and denote whether it is a file or a directory. Whether it is a file or a directory, which means the output should come like this. Now I've listed out everything. This is a directory. Okay. My doc file, no, it is a file. This is an exe file. My Java setup is an exe file. All the others are folders. So I want something preceding. Directory academics, directory and directory ABM, file putty, file schedule, and so on. So that is what I want. Okay, try writing the code by yourself. Okay, try writing the code by yourself. You have a method called isDirectory. You have a method called isDirectory. Write the code quickly. Write the code quickly. Okay, subif isDirectory. You're checking whether it is a directory or not. You are checking whether it is a if it is a directory, I'll go for a particular business, else I will go for a particular business. Okay, I'll just simply write SOPs. SOP, Control C, Control V, SOP directory plus A of I. Okay, else I will write it is a file. Control C, Control V, else I will write it is a file. Okay, if it is a directory, okay, so I need not have this statement over here. Too much SOPs will come. Okay, if I just modified things a bit. Write the code yourself. Okay, see the output. Now it came perfectly. You'll have to pick out each file and then check. Pick out each file, B column, have the absolute path. Have the absolute path, and then only you can be able to check. Now look here. This was an exe file. Putty was an exe file, and then I even had a document folder. All the others were directories. I'll take my program. I took each. Earlier, what you did was you were directly checking the file. You were directly checking A of I, which means, it will not happen. You have to check, take each file, D, take each file, D, let's say D and then check whether it is a file or directory. Then you will have to take the next one, let's say D, IBM, and then check. D, Java, and then check. Okay. If you do not have this particular statement, what will happen is you are telling them to directly check and IBM and Java, which the compiler JVM will find it illogical. So that is why I had this particular statement. I took the absolute path. Using the advanced for, list all the contents of a directory and check whether it is a file or a directory. That is question number 2 you have to do. Question number 1 we already had, character count using advanced for. Second is this. Have a third question. Using a recursive function, using recursion, list out the contents of a directory. Okay, I hope you can see my command prompt. Using recursion means, when you go into a directory, you might find another directory, another directory, another directory, and so on. Okay, so using recursion, you have to list out the contents of a directory. Okay, so I'll just give you the skeleton of the program. Like, you will have your main, and then let's say list all. You will have list all, and here it might be you could give you a path. Let's see, in my D colon, and okay. Just a minute. Okay. So you'll have a function called might be list all or something, and then here you will have the function list all. Okay. And here you will be recursively calling it, like to find out the content in each directory. So that was the question. Using a recursive function, find out the contents in a given drive, in your given drive.